So let's dive right in. Today we're tackling a massive question, one that's hiding behind every single ad you see, every product you buy. Is marketing an art, something that runs on pure creativity and instinct, or is it a science driven by hard data and predictable rules? And trust me, this is way more than just some dusty academic debate. The answer, or maybe the constant tug of war between these two ideas, is what shapes the entire industry. It's the difference between a creative, gut instinct Super Bowl commercial and that super specific, targeted ad that follows you around online. I mean, just look at this. It shows you exactly how much has changed. On the left, you've got the Ford Model T factory. Henry Ford had that famous line, any color that he wants, so long as it is black. The focus was 100% on production. But on the right, a totally customized modern car. Now it's all about what you want, about your identity. So how on earth did we get from one to the other? Well, to really get a handle on this art versus science thing, you have to realize that marketing's been on a journey. Its whole identity has been shifting and changing for over a century. And you can kind of break that journey down into four big stages. First, there was the production orientation. Basically, if you build a good product, they will come. Then things got more competitive and we entered the sales orientation, where the goal was to aggressively push that product on people. Then came a huge shift, the marketing orientation. For the first time, companies started asking, hey, what do customers actually want? And today, we're in this wild era of postmodern marketing, which is all about the experience, the brand story, and the culture around a product. And what's really fascinating is that the official textbook definition of marketing has changed right along with it. Back in 1935, it was just about moving goods from point A to point B. Fast forward to 2004, and the language is all about creating and delivering value. And then, just a few years later, it got even bigger. Now it was about having value for society at large. You can see it right there. The whole field has gotten broader, more complicated, and a whole lot more human. And that really gets to the core of it. Marketing isn't like physics, where the rules are set in stone. It's a social science. It's the study of people, of culture, of society, and all of that is messy, unpredictable, and always, always changing. Which means, just like any other social science, it's full of big, competing ideas. Okay, so this brings us to the main event. This whole art versus science debate really boils down to a clash between two completely different worldviews. In the academic world, they call these paradigms. So what the heck is a paradigm? The easiest way to think about it is like a pair of glasses. It's the lens through which you see the world. It shapes what you look for, the questions you ask, and even what you accept as a valid answer. It's your fundamental starting point for everything. In marketing, the two big paradigms are the positivist and the relativist. The positivist view is the science camp. They believe reality is objective, something you can measure with numbers and quantitative data. They want to explain why people do things. On the other side, you have the relativist perspective. That's the art camp. They see reality as subjective, built on individual experiences. They use qualitative methods not to explain, but to understand. And listen, this is not just about choosing whether to run a survey or a focus group. No. This disagreement goes all the way down to the very foundation of how we think about reality itself. The first layer here is something called ontology. It's a fancy word for a really simple but massive question. What is real? What is the actual nature of the world we're trying to look at? And right on top of that, you've got epistemology. If ontology asks, what is real? Epistemology follows up with, okay, but how do we know what we know? What actually counts as real knowledge, and how do we get it? This quote just nails the difference. For a positivist, social reality is out there. It's a single, stable thing that we can go and measure. But for a relativist, social reality isn't one thing at all. It's created by us, through our cultures and our shared meanings. One side is looking for the universal laws. The other is exploring all the different, unique interpretations. All right, I know, that got a little abstract, a bit philosophical. So let's pull this right back down to earth. What does this actually look like inside a modern company's marketing department? It looks like two different worlds living under the same roof. You've got world one, the art side. These are the people focused on culture, on the brand story, on understanding the social context. Then you have world two, the science side. They live in spreadsheets, data dashboards, analytics, and are focused on the financial ROI. A truly great marketer today has to be able to speak both languages. So here it is, the big takeaway. The goal isn't to pick a side and say marketing is art or science. The real genius of modern marketing is learning how to manage the tension between the two. It's about letting data inform your creative intuition and using that creativity to tell a story with the numbers.
Which, of course, brings us to the future. Because you can't have this conversation today without talking about the elephant in the room, artificial intelligence. And AI is making this entire debate more critical than ever before.
And this is the question I want to leave you with. As AI gets better and better at the science part of marketing, the data crunching, the analysis, the predictions, what skills become the most valuable for humans? Do we need to double down on our quantitative skills to better manage the machines? Or should we lean into what makes us uniquely human, the art of understanding culture, interpreting meaning, and thinking critically? Maybe the future of marketing doesn't belong to the artists or the scientists, but to the people who can translate between the two. The answer to that question is going to define everything for the next generation. Thanks for tuning in.